Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to set up your own Amazon FBA business to start selling straight away. I'm Neelan Mayani and I'm a seven-figure Amazon seller, and I'm going to be taking you through a step-by-step guide on how to start selling on Amazon in a way that's quicker, easier, and cheaper than it was for me, right? So this video is going to have all the new updates and changes to the process of setting up your business on the Amazon FBA platform. So today we're going to be taking it step by step so you can understand exactly what needs to be done and set up in order to start selling on Amazon straight away, right? So first thing to note, this video is mostly geared towards people who are going to be selling in the UK. But if you're selling elsewhere, like Europe, USA, or Canada, for example, there'll still be a lot of really useful tips, so make sure to stay tuned. By the way, if you don't want to be scribbling down notes during this video, just click on the link below and I'll send you all the notes for this process so you can actually focus on watching this video instead of writing down, right? So the first thing to note when it comes to selling on Amazon, you want to start by setting up a limited company for yourself to sell through, right? So Amazon won't allow you to register yourself as a professional seller with all the best tools and resources if you're not registered through a limited company, right? It also makes your finances way easier to track and it's tidier for admin, but as well, it also makes it more likely for you to stick to the process, right? So in my experience, you're much less likely to quit your business if you've already set up a limited company to trade through first, right? Now, luckily for you guys, setting up a limited company is actually really simple. The first thing you're going to do is just Google register your company on Companies House, right? And that will take you to this page, and it should be a .gov webpage here, right? Now, once you're here, you're going to notice you'll need a few bits of information ready to go. So it's best to keep those to hand. This whole process should only take around 20 or 30 minutes, so it's not that long, but it's not that quick either. Take your time to do this accurately. So, by the way, when it comes to your business address, it's best to use your home address first. You can definitely change this later on, but it's much easier to start with your home address to begin with. Now, take your time to fill out all the details correctly. No typos. Make sure your name and address are especially perfectly correct, right? Make sure your name matches your passport and your address matches the post that drops in through your postbox, right? That will really make this process a lot easier going forwards. Now, let's get started. So, as we go through this, we're going to see these first few steps. Now, I have my own limited company, so there's only so far I can take this application on screen, but let's go anyway. So, by the way, the first thing that you want to be looking at is choosing a name for your limited company, right? So, this name for your limited company really doesn't matter that much, right? This can be absolutely anything you want it to be. As I say, it doesn't matter. It could be your name or anything short and easy to spell and remember. This will not be your brand name or your store name, right? Your brand or store name can be something totally different. Like a company can be called Sports Leisure Fitwear Global Limited, and your brand or store name can be called something like Nike, right? So the name of the limited company can be anything because it won't be your brand name. That will be a completely different name that you decide later on, right? So as you go through this, what we're going to do, you're going to start by clicking register now. Are you starting a new application? Now you're going to be clicking yes, because this is your new limited company that you're going to be setting up. Now it's going to ask you to just make sure that you've, are aware of what you're doing with this process, and that you've checked whether a limited company is right for you, and such. So you're going to go towards these questions. And the first thing it's going to ask you is, are you going to pay for this application by using card or PayPal? Assuming you have one of those or both of those, you're just going to click yes. Now, this first question, are any directors or persons with significant control on the company's house secure register? So essentially, what that is asking you is, are your personal details already on company's house register? Now, if you've registered a limited company in the past, your details will be on company's house, right? However, if you've never registered a limited company before, your details will not be on company's house already. So in this case, your answer will be no, right? Now, when you click continue on this, you're going to be asked to create a government gateway user ID for your company, right? Now, when you set up that government gateway user ID, that's how HMRC is going to stay in touch with you and how you're going to be administering your company, right? It's also how you're going to file documents and get information for your company going forwards. So the government gateway ID is kind of like your control panel, right? So again, when filling this out, I really want to remind you to make sure every bit of information you put in through this application and every application following this needs to be completely accurate, right? You cannot make mistakes with this, or else it will be really, really annoying to fix and cause a lot of problems and stress later on down the line that you could have avoided just by being careful, right? So make sure your national insurance number is correct, your name matches your passport, and exactly as I said, make sure your address matches the same as the post that drops in through your letterbox, right? No mistakes. That is bottom line here, right? Now, as I say, this process should take around half an hour to do carefully, and then you'll receive your certificate of incorporation by email and in the post within around 3 to 5 days. So you'll need to keep this certificate safe because Amazon's going to ask you for this document later on when doing their verification checks. So now you've registered your limited company, you're going to wait for your certificate of incorporation to arrive over around 3 to 5 days. And by the time that certificate of incorporation arrives, you're going to be able to move on to the next step. And that next step is opening up a business bank account. Now, this is going to be for your limited company and not for yourself, right? You won't be able to use your personal bank account for your Amazon seller account. Since you're setting up as a business, you'll need a business bank account to receive the money from Amazon when you get paid for your sales, right? So around 8 years ago, when I started doing this, I set up my own business bank account with a high street bank, but times have changed since then, and you can actually use fintech banks or even online banks, right? These kind of banks tend to actually be having better rates and better benefits, as well as being quicker to set up as well, right? So I personally recommend Tide, and you can easily find this page by just Googling Tide Bank and go to tide.co. And as I say, I recommend Tide because it's a really, really easy bank account to set up, and it's really, really simple to use this bank, right? Their customer service is great. The app is great. As I say, I highly recommend Tide. It's a really good business bank account, right? So as I say, once you've Googled Tide Bank and you've come to this page, the first thing you're going to do is click Open an account, right? And once you've done this, you're going to be given two options. Do you want to open a business bank account as a sole trader or a registered company, right? So you have registered your company with the UK's Companies House, right? So you're going to be clicking registered company and get account. Now, as you do this, what's going to happen is you're going to be navigated to starting your application. Now, when you do this, you're going to be able to carry out this application really, really simply and set this all up really quickly from your phone. But exactly as I've been saying all along, make sure the details you're inputting are correct, right? If you put in the incorrect email address here or the incorrect phone number here, you're going to have a really bad problem, right? So make sure that email address and that phone number that you input are totally correct, right? Now, if you put in incorrect details here, it's just going to mess up your whole application. Double and triple check your email address and phone number before you start this. Please just do that, right? Now, as I say, you'll be able to really and easily, quickly set this up from your phone. Just make sure to have your passport handy and any utility bills or personal bank statements ready for the application. So whenever, the bank asks for your ID or proof of address, you've got those kind of documents ready to hand, right? So during this process, this bank Tide will cross-check your ID with a selfie so that they can verify that the same person using this ID is you. And with your proof of address, they're also, as I say, going to ask you to upload this to make sure that the name on the proof of address matches the address that you've provided to your bank account application, right? Once you submit the application with Tide, it should only take a few days or even less to get the bank account open, and then you can start using it really, really quickly, right? So, just like with the registration of the limited company, again, make sure your name, address, and any details that you input here are 100% correct. I can't stress this enough, right? This will keep the process nice and smooth for you and make it much easier to open your Amazon seller account, right? Now, third and most importantly, you'll have made it this far. So you're going to be setting up your own Amazon professional account next, right? And that's going to be in the name of your limited company. Now, you're going to navigate yourself to this page here, Amazon Seller Central. Now, you can easily find this page by just Googling Amazon Seller Central UK, and you'll arrive at this page here. Now, this is where you'll sign up from, and this is also where you're going to be signing into your Amazon Seller Central account in the future. Now, what you're going to find immediately is that there are two types of Amazon seller account, right? And we're going to just go down to that here. This is the first decision you're going to make is choosing your plan. So as I say, there are two types of Amazon Seller Central accounts. There's professional seller account, which is what we're going to be setting up today, since you want to be starting a real business. But there's also a personal Amazon seller account, right? Now, with personal accounts, you get charged a normal Amazon fee plus around 75p per item that you sell. With a professional account, you'll pay the normal fee plus £30 a month as an active seller. So that means if you're selling more than 35 units a month, it's actually cheaper to set up a professional Amazon seller account instead of a personal, right? And if you're setting up as a business and you're serious about this business that you're starting here, just choose the professional seller account, right? Now, the professional seller account also, by the way, will give you access to a lot more selling tools like enhanced listing design, advertising tools, and a lot of other features that you're not going to have with an individual account. And you're just not going to be as successful with the individual account. So, as I say, definitely there are a lot of benefits to going with that professional account. And that's the reason why we've set up that limited company in the first place. So, let's get to it. Click on sign up here and you'll start the application process. Now, the first thing to note here is just like all other previous steps, you really want to have all your details in hand ready to go for this application. It will be a lot quicker and easier to do this in one go. So make sure you have it to hand and ready to use it. It should only take around 20 or 30 minutes to do, but leaving this application and returning to it can just cause a delay that you don't need to have, right? So now remember, you're filling out this application on behalf of your business, not yourself, right? There will be a section where you're asked about your personal details, but you're opening this seller account for your business, right? So you're going to be inputting your business details into this application as the owner of the account, right? Then you are going to be putting in your own personal details as the owner of the business later on. So that includes the bank account and the bank card that you input into your seller account. These need to be the bank account and bank card for your limited company so that you can get paid for your sales by Amazon to your limited company bank account, right? So, as I say, I highly recommend having to hand your ID, personal bank statement, and also having um, any kind of any kind of utility bills that might come in handy as well to help prove your address, and as well as possibly an opening statement for your limited company account, or even your first bank statement for your limited company account, right? Make sure you have a copy of a passport or driver's license to hand, and I say a bank statement for your limited company because that bank statement is going to show your company bank account, your company name, address, sort code, and account number, right? So it will verify all of those details that you give to Amazon. So they're going to be asking for your bank statement pretty soon. So make sure you have that to hand as you start setting this up, right? Now, the details that you fill out on Amazon Seller Central, as I say, need to match everything you're inputting through this process so that that documentation is going to be accepted by Amazon when you make this application, right? So accuracy is super, super important, right? Once you've completed that Amazon seller account application, what's going to happen is within a few days, your Amazon seller account will now be open, right? Assuming that all the documentation that you've uploaded is correct and matching the information that you've input, that Amazon seller account should now be open and ready to use to start listing straight away, right? Now, as you start exploring your first listings, what you're going to notice is there are two different ways to start selling on Amazon, right? So the first way is to match an existing listing. So if a product is already selling on Amazon, or you can create a new listing if you're the first person to start selling this product, right? Now, if you're looking to match an existing listing, what that means is you're a reseller, right? So it means that you've bought a branded product from a retail store or a wholesaler. You've bought it with you back home, and now you want to sell that exact same product on Amazon, right? So let's say you've gone to Sports Direct and you've bought some Nike socks for £1, and now you want to sell Nike socks on Amazon for £5, £10, whatever you're going to be doing, right? That is called reselling or wholesaling, and that is not what we're going to be doing here, right? Because when you're wholesaling or reselling other people's branded products, you end up having to compete on price a lot with the same products, right? So when you find branded products in retail stores or from wholesalers to buy them and sell them on Amazon, a lot of other people are going to be doing the exact same thing and selling on the exact same listings as you, which tends to squeeze down the profit, right? So instead, we're going to actually be avoiding that business model. Instead, what we're going to be doing is creating a new listing, right? Because you're going to be the first and only person selling this product on Amazon, right? Now, this is exactly what I do myself and what I teach people how to do from start to finish. That is what we're going to be focusing on here and going from a blank slate to launching your own brand of products on Amazon and eBay, even if you have no idea what to sell yet. So, in terms of helping you find a product idea, supplier, samples, creating a brand, listing the products, optimizing those products, advertising those products, this business model is called Amazon Private Label, right? And as I say, it's a thing that I specialize in most, and it's the business model that I believe in most, right? Now, with that, on that note, by the way, if you're doing private label, whatever you sell, make sure you buy a really small amount first to avoid losing money if it doesn't go the way you expect, right? You won't make money on a small batch first because that's not the point of that small batch. You want to make that small batch order to make sure that they sell before buying big volumes. So, for example, if you buy a batch of 20 units, you want to make sure that you can sell those 20 units because if you can't sell 20, you're not going to be able to sell 1,000, right? So, when we're looking to focus on private label, we definitely want to make sure to test the market carefully without losing too much money, right? We want to do this in a way that's cheap and sustainable. Now, there are a lot of people who say that this doesn't work and it's old, but the market continues to grow every year within private label, right? While more sellers do join, 99.9% of them fail because most people sell the exact same kind of obvious products, right? So things like iPhone charging cables, smartphone cases, yoga mats, water bottles, reed diffusers, selfie sticks. Stop me if there's any products that I've come up with just now that you've already thought of before, right? This has been amazingly successful for myself and my students because we actually look for unique product ideas that most people are overlooking, right? That is where the money is. The best bit is if you set things up correctly to begin with, it's really, really passive to maintain, right? It's going to become like your own personal money machine. So, if you want to learn some free tips, by the way, that I've learned over the last 9 years and through selling millions of pounds of products on Amazon, just click the link below to get some free tips on how to get started. While you do that, by the way, you may as well hit the subscribe button as well so that you don't miss out on any other tips that I'm publishing too, because I'll also give you guys a demo on how to look for a product to sell on Amazon too, with focus on private label Amazon selling, right? So, by the way, I'm going to skip back to product details in a second. So, delivering your product. Now, what I really wanted to show you here is that when you sell your product on Amazon, you're going to want to opt to use FBA or fulfillment by Amazon, right? That is where you are having Amazon deliver your stock to your customers instead of you having to send out each and every single order yourself, right? Now, you can do this yourself, also known as FBM or fulfilled by merchant, as I say, which is where you're taking stock from your own storage and sending them out one by one to every customer who makes a purchase of your product on Amazon, right? However, what we find is that in my experience, doing things by FBM tends to only be pennies cheaper per unit than doing things by FBA, right? So if you sell your product on Amazon, it's best to opt for FBA that you're sending all of your stock in bulk to Amazon's FBA warehouses, and then from Amazon's FBA warehouses, they are sending out each unit one at a time to every single customer who makes a purchase from your listing, right? So it means your responsibility is no longer about sending each and every single unit out, but just keeping Amazon's FBA warehouses stocked by sending in orders every couple of months, right? Now, as I say, doing FBM is slightly cheaper, but the difference is very, very marginal, right? In my experience, the difference tends to be pennies, right? With FBM, while it may be pennies more expensive, there are massive, massive benefits to this, right? FBA does all the hard work like picking, packing, and all of the shipping so that you don't have to do it all, right? All you do, as I say, is keep restocking the warehouse every couple of months instead of sending out every single order. Another little secret that a lot of people don't realize is that Amazon's search and ranking algorithm shows a massive preferential treatment to products being delivered by FBA, right? So you'll actually make more sales and more money by using Amazon FBA service as opposed to using FBM and shipping this out yourself. And on top of that, it's going to be much less work for you. So it really is a win-win, right? Now, so let's jump back to creating your product listing to sell on Amazon, right? Now that we've covered opening a limited company, a bank account for your limited company, opening your professional Amazon seller account, we're going to start looking at listing your first product, right? So the best way to start looking for a product to sell on Amazon would be to use a tool called Helium 10. I've used this tool myself, but you can also do research without any tools at all and do it completely for free. I'm going to go through that in another video, so make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss out. You can also click the free link below to get hold of my free tips as well, and that will really help you with a few Helium 10 inputs. So when we come to Helium 10, what we're going to be doing is using Helium 10 for product research on Amazon and to find something in demand but not oversaturated, right? So the way to find this page, just Google Helium 10 and you'll come across this page, helium10.com, right? There is a free trial version of this available, which gives you a basic set of research tools to start searching, and you'll have that free trial for 30 days. And that will be really, really useful for helping you get started with that product research, right? Now, Helium 10 will also show you search volumes, reviews, and how many sales a product's making per month, as well as showing you some demand charts, as well as relative competition to that demand, right? So have some pie charts showing, demand is up here, but competition is down here, or demand is down here, but competition is up here, or, it will show you the relation between competition and demand, right? And it uses a lot of key metrics to make sure it can display that kind of presentation to you. So it makes it a lot easier to decide whether there are still opportunities on products or not, and whether there's demand or not, right? Now, I really, really want to reiterate to you how important product research is, right? If your product sucks, then nothing else that you do will matter, right? Your branding, your logo, your ads, everything else will be completely irrelevant if there is no demand for your product, right? Finding a good product to sell is absolutely the most important thing that you do within your business, right? So that is something, as I say, that's in demand of good quality and unique niche, right? Because when you've got a product that is genuinely good, as I say, you're not going to have to work very hard to sell it. because if it's genuinely good, people are naturally going to want it, right? So as I say, this is going to be the most important thing you do in your whole business. Now, with that, once you've found that in-demand product, how will you source those products, right? Where are you going to buy those products from? What you're going to be doing is going straight to Alibaba, which is like a Chinese version of Amazon, right? Almost any product that you can imagine in existence is probably on Alibaba, right? This is where you're going to contact your supplier and find the best possible products in order to be selling on Amazon, right? You can speak to thousands of suppliers and try to negotiate the best prices through Alibaba, right? So it's a really, really good platform for finding the best manufacturers for your item, right? So as a little example, let's look for pest control, right? First example that's come up. Now, as you can see here, there are a lot of options to explore with loads of unique products and designs and many, many different prices. So you're going to want to go through all of these options and look for the kind of design that you're interested in, the kind of design that your research has suggested is going to be popular on Amazon, and make sure that you actually get quotes for the products that you're interested in stocking, right? So with that, you're going to be able to see a few prices displayed on these front pages here, right? And these are rough prices. These prices aren't dead on. It's only a rough indication. You really need to contact the supplier to know the best bulk prices. But a lot of these prices here will give you an indication from their listing pages, but sometimes they do show fake low prices to bump themselves up in the search results on Alibaba. So as I say, make sure you actually click on this and contact the supplier to actually get an accurate quote, right? So the easiest way to do that is click on the pages that you're interested in and send an inquiry. Right? Now, one thing that you really want to do, by the way, as you do this, once you've contacted the supplier and you're interested in this design, they've come back to you with a good quote or what you think is probably a good quote. The one thing that you really, really want to do is check out the Amazon FBA calculator to estimate the profits on the sales of your product on Amazon. So remember, whatever you decide to sell, make sure you buy a really small amount first in order to avoid losing money if it doesn't go the way you expected, right? You won't make money on that small first batch, as I said, because that is not the point of that first batch, right? You want to make sure that these products sell before buying bigger volume. As I say, if you can't sell 20 units, how are you going to sell 1,000, right? So make sure that you do order a small amount from these suppliers first, right? Now, once you've got that quote from your supplier for that product that you're interested in, get a quote for say 1,000 units plus the shipping cost, right? What you're going to do is add the total you pay for the units plus the shipping cost plus any taxes or duty that you pay. Add that number all together and divide that total number by the number of units that you've bought, right? And that will give you your cost price per unit, right? Now, once you've calculated that cost price per unit based on 1,000 units, you have that cost price. What you're going to do is Google UK FBA calculator and you'll find this page, right? Once you click on this page, continue as a guest and then define product, right? Now, in here, you're going to put the rough dimensions and weight of each product in its individual packaging, not the carton packaging, right? So it's not going to be in its shipping carton. These dimensions and weight are going to be of the individual product within its packaging, right? So as an example of that, let's say this is 9 by 9 by 9 and your product weighs 0.4 kilos, so 400 grams. And let's say you're selling in consumer electronics as an example. Let's say your product is selling for 19.99 and your cost price is £3.50, right? What you're going to do here is click estimate. And once you click estimate, Amazon is going to show you a breakdown of all the costs and it will show you what your Amazon fee will be. This fee won't be applicable for you if you're a professional seller because this is only for individual sellers, but it'll have all the other fees associated here as well, right? And that will tell you what your profit margin is likely to be. Now, once you've clicked calculate here or update here, you're going to be able to actually change a few inputs within this equation here, right? So, for example, you may decide that, actually you're using this calculator, you're going to put 19.99 here as the item price. So let's put your cost of goods sold, as I say, it was £3.50. What's going to happen here is it's going to remove all of your selling fees from your selling price. And then finally at the bottom, remove your cost price and show you what the profit margin that you'll be left with will be, right? So that is a really, really easy way to start considering what kind of cost your product is going to be. Um, so that is a really, really simple way of figuring out what kind of profit you're likely to be making when selling on Amazon, right? So now we've gotten pretty far, right? We now have opened a limited company, a bank account for your limited company. We've opened up a professional seller account on Amazon. We found a product to sell on Amazon, and we found the supplier and understood the costs. So now the next step is you're going to want to start listing on Amazon, right? So here on this Amazon Seller Central account, you're going to log into your Amazon Seller Central account and select United Kingdom. So first, we've got a fresh account here for this example because active accounts will work a little bit differently after you've made your first listing, especially in private label. So for that reason, I'm going to be showing you this all on a fresh account. What you're going to be doing is going to these three lines in the top left-hand corner, and you're going to go to catalog and add a product, right? Now, when you click add a product, it's going to take you to this page here. And from here, you're going to click blank form. And then you're going to click start. That will then take you to this page here, right? So the first thing Amazon is going to ask you is the product name, which is also the product title, right? So in this name here, you want to input as many keywords as you possibly can to make your product reach the first page on Amazon of your search term, right? So the more keywords you add in here, the more this will help with having better SEO so that more customers see your listing and are more likely to actually buy your product, right? So this is a big part of where Helium 10 will come in handy because it'll help to show you the most common keywords associated with your product so you can use those best keywords in your product title. Another useful tip to finding keywords for your product easily and for free is to type in part of the product name or term into the Amazon search bar and use the relevant terms that appear in the drop-down menu as the most common keywords associated with that particular term, right? So as an example, let's say we typed in pest, right? Now, as I've typed in pest and made a space, what you're going to see is there are a few drop-down suggestions from the search box, right? These drop-down suggestions are high volume keywords, right? They're going to be short tail, long term, but all of these suggestions are high volume keywords. So this is a really good way of finding some keywords to begin with, right? And that is just typing in part of that word, seeing what terms drop down from that suggested search, and then using those drop down suggestions within your title to get as many good high search volume keywords into that title as possible, and that will make your product as organically searchable as possible and means you're more likely to make more sales, right? So as you do this, what's going to happen is, let's say we type in pest control system, right? As an example. Now, what's going to happen is Amazon is going to recommend a category for you, right? Now, if that category is correct, the system at finding and auto assigning you a category is actually quite good, right? However, if that category isn't accurate, you can select another and manually browse the categories. So literally starting from here, DIY and tools and pest control, I don't know. But you're gonna want to browse around a little if you want to find a more accurate category. But to be honest, most of the time, what you'll find is that suggested category there is gonna be very, very accurate, right? So if that suggested category is accurate, just click confirm. If not, select other and just navigate around and look for your category, right? So in this situation, let's just click confirm. Now, assuming this is accurate, the very next thing we're going to be asked about is about to pop up here. And you're gonna then look at your browse nodes, right? So you're going to, from this drop-down menu, select the most accurate browse node, right? So let's say, for example, I think that most accurately categorizes my product, right? So once you've chosen your most relevant category from this drop-down menu, the next thing you're going to start looking at is the product ID. Now, this is where things can get a bit tricky because up until a few years ago, Amazon used to accept resold cheap barcodes, but now they only accept barcodes directly registered with GS1, which can be kind of long and expensive to obtain. So, to save a lot of time and money, you want to tick, I don't have a product ID, right? Now, when you tick that, what's going to happen is the product ID box is going to be grayed out. So, you're not going to have to put anything in that, right? Now, once you've done that, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to input your brand name into this box here, right? Now, you can put your brand name into this box or you can input the word generic. However, when you are making a real Amazon FBA private label business, generic branded items are not what you want, right? You want to be listing everything under your brand name. So forget about using the word generic here and make sure to input your brand name. Now, as soon as you input your brand name into this box and press next, you'll see that you need to apply to something called a GTIN exemption, right? A little box will pop up here saying you need to apply for something called a GTIN exemption, and it'll give you a link to click onto that application, right? It's an application with Amazon to basically allow you to list without barcodes and registering for Amazon to assign you their own free barcodes. So when you click apply to sell, you're going to need to have saved images of your product or any other product. It doesn't actually have to be yours, held in hand with photographs taken from all 6 different angles, right? And on one of those views, your brand name needs to be photoshopped onto the product, right? Now, it's really important to note that this photoshopping of your logo onto your product needs to look very, very realistic, or Amazon won't accept it, right? Now, the good thing about that is if it gets rejected, you can apply again straight away, which is pretty cool. So, if you do get stuck with the whole product identifier GS1 issue and you can't get your GTIN exemption accepted, I'm also making a detailed video on how to Photoshop your brand name onto your photos to get your products accepted through the GTIN exemption every single time. So remember to hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss that video, right? This tip will also be included within my set of free tips on getting started on selling on Amazon. So you better click that link below to grab those too, and that'll make things a lot easier, cheaper, and quicker for you to get started selling on Amazon. I've just switched back to an active Amazon seller account because only a new account will need to apply for a GTIN exemption, and this account already has it approved. So I can show you the rest of the process, but I really first wanted to show you that GTIN exemption part because that is super important for keeping this simple and cheap for you, right? So once you've had your GTIN exemption approved, which should only take around an hour, you can fill out the rest of your listing information. So when Amazon asks you for the manufacturer, you're going to be inputting your own name, right? Where it asks you for your model number, model name, or SKU code, you're going to be making up your own reference code, right? It can literally be anything you want. Keep it simple for your sake. But for example, as a code, I'm going to put NM0001, right? You can put that as your model name, and you can also use the same code for your SKU, right? It's just your own reference code for your own sake. So keep it simple and easy, right? Now, as you go through the rest of this listing, you're going to find that one of the important things that you need to consider is your price, right? So under the offer tab, you're going to be able to input your price here, right? Now, I always say that avoid a whole number for your selling price and list it for a penny less. So, for example, if you want to sell your product for £10, instead list it for 9.99. Or if you want to sell it for £15, do it for 14.99, right? It's a more attractive sounding and looking price as it comes across cheaper. Now, when it comes to your product description, I always say the easiest way to actually input your product description and bullet points is by actually looking for a product that is as similar to yours as possible and doing very, very well in sales, right? You can find this, by the way, by using Helium 10 to find the best performing products like yours, or just search within the Amazon marketplace using your main keywords to find it, right? Now, once you've found a product that is as similar to yours as possible, but selling very, very well, what you're going to do is copy down the title, bullet points, and description. Then you're going to tweak the details of those three things to make sure the information is accurate and relevant to your product and brand, right? This is a really, really nice shortcut in getting a nice title, bullet point, and description because it works off a live example that you already know to be working for your product type, right? Now, the most important part of your listing is going to be the images that you use, right? These images need to be looking as nice as possible. I want to see a really beautiful, pretty main picture here, right? And then possibly infographics in the rest of these boxes here. These images need to be clear, accurate, high quality, and high resolution. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have really nice images. I would go as far as to say that having a mediocre product with nice images will sell better than a great product with bad images, right? Normally, your supplier will have loads of these images. However, if they don't, it's okay. Don't panic. I'm going to be posting a detailed video on how to find and make some really nice photos for your product to sell on Amazon to use in your listings, right? And we're going to use Google and AI tools to do this. So remember to hit the subscribe button below if you don't want to miss that really important video. Now, that tip will also be included within my set of free tips. So definitely click that link below if you want to get those tips now, right? So for the rest of your listing, you really want to fill out as much information as you possibly can, right? This doesn't only make your customer more likely to buy your product because they have more information, but it also makes your product more searchable because there'll be more keywords in your listing, right? Just make sure it's all accurate and as complete as possible. You need to fill out all of these boxes that have an asterisk next to it because those are mandatory fields, right? If you leave any mandatory fields unfilled, you're not going to be able to press submit here, right? So if I press submit here, what's going to happen is this red box comes up here, right? So you're going to need to make sure you're filling out every single box that has an asterisk next to it in order to actually submit and publish your listing, right? Now, as you do this, at the end, what's going to happen is as a last step, you're going to insert as many keywords as possible separated by a space, right? So these keywords need to be related to your product, right? So for example, here we would put pest dash control space mouse dash trap rat dash trap as examples, right? Now, if you want to keep a term, so like a long tail key term, so for example, a keyword which is made up of two words, you're going to just put a dash in between, right? To separate two separate keywords, you're going to use a space in the middle, right? So finally, you're going to come towards your offer. Now, here, Amazon is going to ask you what fulfillment channel you want to use, right? So here, you're going to opt for FBA. Or you can also opt for FBM if you want to send this out yourself to customers. However, You can always start by listing as FBM where you're shipping this product yourself, and then later on convert it over to FBA where you're asking Amazon to ship out all of your stock for you, right? So once this is completed, you're going to be able to finally click save and continue by submitting your listing, right? Now, I always recommend doing this all in one sitting, right? You can save this listing as a draft and come back and continue it later on. But what I've noticed is sometimes info can actually be lost when it's saved as a draft. So it's actually best to have all your info ready to hand in a Word or text document. So your title, bullet points, description, keywords, and all of your images ready to upload so that you can create and publish your listing in one sitting, right? So if you have all of that information ready, this should only take around 30 minutes. And after publishing your listing, it should go live within 1 hour, right? Now, here, if you have opted for FBA, then the listing will show up as inactive until you send your stock to Amazon's FBA warehouses, right? It will only become live once the stock reaches the Amazon FBA warehouses, and that's when you'll start seeing sales start to roll in, right? However, if you choose FBM, you might still find that your product is showing as inactive and out of stock. And the reason for that is you've put your quantity as zero, right? If you put your quantity as zero, your listing, even once it's saved and published, is still going to be showing as inactive, right? So what you want to do here is just write in any whole number, so one, two, three, whatever you want to write in there, so that you can start seeing this live and selling on Amazon, right? Once that whole number is saved as a quantity, that means your listing will be live and buyable on Amazon and customers can actually buy your product, right? Now, the next thing that you're going to be focusing are, of course, reviews, right? Because again, I bet none of you here watching this video buy products on Amazon that have no reviews. So how are you going to sell your product if you have no reviews on your Amazon listing already? So what you want to do is just get your first few reviews onto your Amazon product listing. Now, you can actually get reviews onto your product, up to 4 reviews you can put on your product without getting any sales, right? So your listing is allowed to publish up to 4 reviews from people who haven't actually bought your product. So these reviews can be left without a sale, right? They're known as unverified reviews. You can ask your family and friends for those first reviews, but no one who has a shared address or who's lived at the same address as you or who's got the same surname as you, right? So immediate family probably wouldn't be a good idea for this, but you can ask in-laws, cousins, friends, colleagues, co-workers, and in this sense, it should be quite easy to get those first 4 reviews, right? As long as those people who are leaving you those reviews have spent £40 on Amazon in the last 12 months, they'll be able to leave those reviews onto your Amazon product listing without actually buying your product, right? Now, you can send your reviewers a direct link to leave a review on your Amazon product. And normally this link is going to look like something like www.amazon.co.uk/review/create-review question mark async equals, right? This review link for your friends and family to leave a product review on your Amazon listing will also be included within that free set of notes that I promised to send you through this video. So if you click on the link below, I'll send you those notes over straight away, right? Now, if you do have any questions at all about any part of this process or get stuck with anything or something doesn't make sense, just simply reply to those notes that I email you and I'll be able to get back to you and help you with whatever you need, right? The exact same thing goes for the free tips. So click that link below, get my notes on this process and my free tips, reply to either of those emails if you have any questions at all, and I'll be happy to clarify your understanding of anything that doesn't make sense. So that is everything for today, guys. As I say, this is pretty much a step-by-step guide on how to start selling on Amazon UK, going right from the beginning to selling your first product on Amazon. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. And as I promised, there'll be a lot more videos to come to help break this down for you to understand it easily and in more detail. So if you did like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and like this video so that you don't miss out on those free guides. So you don't just save more money getting started selling on Amazon, but so that you also learn how to make more money selling on Amazon too, right? If you do have any comments or suggestions, please drop them below. I'll be replying to all of them, right? I hope this has been useful for you. Please reply to my notes or guides if you do get stuck. And thank you so much for watching today. Happy selling, guys. I'll be seeing you in the jungle.